Hi, Taurus. This is your May astrology reading for all Taurus signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And I always try to throw out there that if you are a Sun or a ascending Taurus, then I'm really getting more into your core energies. And if you're a Moon or a Venus, then I'm really truly getting more into your emotional depths and what you're kind of looking at. But you know what? Before I get into that, I'm so excited. Um, if you've been following me for a while or not, keep an eye out on social media because I'm about to drop my first healing line, so to speak, that I'm going to start putting it out there on social media, and it's going to be essential oils, starting off with pieces at a time. I'm going to be bringing out essential oils. The first ones are going to be coming out as astrology, and the way I view astrology, I've been working with spirit. So I'm going to have essential oils. I'm going to have bath kits. I'm going to have spray mists and stuff. So if you're interested, I'm already starting to make them. Keep your eye out on social media so that you can see what that does and if it brings you any, spiritual, soulful, emotional healing, because I am working with my magic here. With that being said, Spirit just said for some of you, you're getting like a point of a pathway for a new decision, which it should be a completion of a cycle. Now, the thing is, what Spirit's giving me, before I get into the astrology, is if you're seeing this, you should be seeing, the pathway starting to open or show itself to you. So you should be taking action or redirecting yourself through this time and helping you to move forward. But what Spirit's giving me is, it's like as if the door is right there, but will you go through it? Will you finish pushing through is the question. Because you're facing a lot of self-motivated, action-oriented, self-assertive energies. But it's coming from true depths of self-identity and the trick of the free will, meaning, you will yourself to grow and change in these ways. But a lot of this is coming from your own spiritual growth as you're getting into the depths of you. You're discovering and coming into new levels of wisdom within your soul and where you're going in your growth into your very consciousness. But a lot of this has to do with the actions that you will take because of what you will come to know, learn, in your conscious actions of your conscious true depths. But this has a lot to do with the outer community. And then where will you shift that, more or less? Hold on, I'm on the wrong page here. I have my notes right here to make sure that I've got everything that I'm trying to tell you going in the right directions. They are saying you are going to deal with some frustration. Some of you are having some government issues. And government issues could be the whole political thing that's going on right now. Not political, but, the virus. Some of this could be jobs. Some of this could be, dealing with court systems in one form or another. I'm getting a little bit of confusion of heart over head. Meaning, I always say it's the supernatural highway from the head to the heart. Sometimes we get boulders in here, like blocks that are like boulders, and that supernatural highway isn't very clear. So it's working out pieces of that. And that's because, in truth, when I look at your astrology, I see a lot, like a shit ton of stuff going on in your first house and your 12th house. So this is really coming into, overcoming some of those insecurities, some of those self-damaged areas that you've gotten very comfortable with, but don't realize it's something that needs healing, so you need to shift out of it. Self-deception. Deals with grief, sorrow, shame, and blame. A lot of heart chakra. Opening the heart chakra or allowing forgiveness to come through. I just got being you. So maybe this is forgiving yourself for where you have allowed things to happen and getting back to a healthy communication with self. Getting back to your roots. So for some of you, this is. Reclaiming the authority in your life. Is there anything else? There is some frustration, bitterness, and blame. Don't be pointing fingers. Trying to be perfect or insecure because of that. But this month, the Spirit just keeps pointing out to me, this has a lot to do with self-communication for liberation, for self-awareness that will bring forth that self-growth, self-value, self-esteem, liberating, but through that personal conversation and what you were going to learn. Now, let me jump into some of these notes here that Spirit gave me before I get into everything. First off, I'm telling everybody one of the most powerful weeks you're going to notice for this month is from the 10th through the 17th. And that's because, my God, you have a lot of planets that are going retrograde during that time. So the shifting of that energy is really going to be pivotal and you're going to feel it. But Spirit is saying from the 7th to the 11th, you're definitely going to start also feeling the energies of Mars and Ceres starting to conjunct. Now, they're going to be conjuncting almost all month. But from the 7th through the 11th is where you're going to start to feel that come in. I'm going to explain that in a second. On the 20th through the 27th, they're pretty much in 1 degree. So it's going to be getting stronger all month. And then they'll start to come out of that conjunction, but it's still going to be there all month. So from the 20th through the 27th, that conjunction is going to be like off the chain. And then they were giving you from the 10th through the 17th, also because of all of that shifting in retrogrades, because you've got a lot of planets going retrograde. Not to mention Chiron and Aries and Make and Juno are going to be in opposition all month too. Now, that's coming out of your 12th house. But let me pull this up and start looking at what I got going on here. And I'm going to run down this for you real fast. You have the full moon on the 7th in Scorpio. Mercury enters Gemini on the 11th. Saturn goes retrograde on the 11th. Mars enters Pisces on the 13th. Venus goes retrograde on the 13th. Jupiter will go retrograde on the 14th. Like I said, that's when I said between the 10th and the 17th, all of these planets that are retrograding. Pallas is in retrograde in Aquarius as of the 18th. Then you have the Sun entering Gemini on the 20th. Not to mention, on the 17th, the North Node, Rahu, enters Gemini's and Cancer's cusp. It's going to take like the rest of the month for it to actually clear into there. But it's definitely going to start shifting that energy. You have the new moon on the 22nd in Gemini, which happens to be your second house, I believe. Mercury enters Capricorn on the 28th. Mercury ain't playing around. It's just flying through Gemini. It's like, I'm going to dish out what I got to dish out. Twins energy and off and running. Juno and Libra is coming out of retrograde on the 27th. It's the only one that's coming out of retrograde. Everybody else is going in it. Now, Taurus, your first house right now, up until the 20th, when everybody starts to move into Gemini, other than Mercury's going to already be in there, you still have, and by the way, happy birthday, Tauruses. You still have Uranus here and the Sun here until the 20th. Now, I always try to tell everybody, the Sun is where you've got the most attention going on, and it's in your first house. So it's very much, Taurus right now by itself is the universal second house on its own, on a universal level. But for you, it's your first house. So this is coming in with Uranus energy, the Sun energy, your very first house, but it's also, on a universal level pulling in that second house. So it's about your self-awareness, your personality, your appearance, illuminating your character, your view of life, your value, your self-worth, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's asking you, are you secure with who you are, or are you insecure with who you are? And it's about time to get your butt liberated. Okay? Asking you what you've got to do to shape shift into that liberation. Like I said, I feel like I've got a door, and the question is, will you walk through it? This energy is going to be here all the way up until the 20th, when the Sun enters Gemini. And at that point, it's actually, like I said, entering your second house, which means then it is even more intense about that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Are you liberated? Are you feeling insecure or secure? The second house speaks to you also about your money, how you create and spend your money. And if you are not creating it from a healthy standpoint, meaning if it doesn't strengthen your liberation, your security, your value of yourself, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, then the money that you're creating isn't coming in as fluently, as easily, because that's the law of attraction. And when you're insecure about who you are, as well as that money situation, then you become more possessive. The Sun is moving into Gemini. For you, this should be very much an open, creative energy. But we're also coming with Venus being here and going retrograde, which means it's definitely questioning those values. And are you stepping into that liberation, or are you fearful of it? Are you afraid to find out what you're made of? This is completely shape-shifting energies of investing in the security of you. And when I say security, I do mean money, because it is that second house. But I mean, that law of attraction, of that vibrational frequency. And if you're in your liberation, if you're in feeling secure, if you're overcoming those insecurities, because you're coming back to the shape-shifting of who you are, and being aware of where you haven't been you, and where you need to make these changes. Venus will reward you, even though she's in retrograde. But she's going to be speaking to you of what is uncomfortable. And that is actually a key point of making you realize what you need to face and shift. Because Venus, I always say, is not love. She's your sensitivities. She tells you what's ooey gooey, soft and chewy, and yes, please give me more, sir, because I enjoy that. But she also talks to you about the things you don't like, and why you don't like it, and why it hurts. And she's going to make you force yourself to see that while it's in retrograde. And she's all about making you see the true understanding of value. And in this case, the value is the communication to yourself, so that you can re-phoenix, so to speak, re-flame. All right, now, plus you've got, like I said, Mercury itself moving into Gemini, which is your second house. So communication is putting itself in the communication, trying to teach you what you need to know about yourself to communicate in healthy ways have healthy self-talk by understanding where you have unhealthy self-talk. And then you can put that into the outer world because you've learned what it is that you're having to learn about yourself in order to make these corrections. But here you go. Your third house is that North Node, Rahu, and it's been in Cancer. And now it's moving into Gemini. It's going to be in the cusp, like I said, as of the 17th. It's finally coming out of that Cancer energy. It's still going to be in Cancer, but it's so close to Gemini. Let's face it, it's picking up the energy, which is that communication, curiosity, creativity, emotional sensitivity. Because I always say Gemini is Jekyll and Hyde. One side is completely full of logic, and one side is completely full of emotion. But it's fickle, it's curious, it's all about short journeys, it's all about, your location, what is surrounding you in your life in this small up close area, the neighbors, these short journeys, your everyday life. And in Cancer, it's been all about teaching you what you need to nurture about your inner emotional security. So these two are coming together to really, over the month on you, to really get into your self-talk. Your self-talk, your self-creativity, your self-depth of believing in yourself, an exploration of what you want to do and where you want to take it. And will you nurture it or neglect it? Because once it moves out of Cancer and it moves into Gemini, it can't teach you that lesson again for over, 13 more years? And this has all been about nurturing your communication to yourself. And it's leaving that. And it's actually going into, still going to have communication with self, but it's going to be in that second house, really getting into that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Really getting into, are you liberated or are you just telling yourself that? And that's pretty much what you're going to be noticing over the whole month in that area. Now, your fourth house, your fifth house doesn't have anything in it. It's really not having any conversations. Your sixth house and your 12th house are having a whole nother subject. Because your sixth house is your daily routines. Now, I always say your daily routines, your daily health care, your working environment, your health, your diet. These daily routines are more than just routines. They are the people, places, and things of energies that you consume on a daily basis from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed. Some people go jogging every day. Some people go to the bar every day. The people, places, and things of energies that you consume within these routines are what creates you, or what you will be manifesting. And if these people, places, and things in these routines, I'm sorry, my shirt's in the way. People, places, and things in these routines are not healthy routines, especially since you're overgoing your true self-awareness and finding healthy liberation of communication and shape-shifting energy. These routines are asking you, do they support that? Because it's going across to your 12th house, and they're going to be in opposition all month. Chiron is in your 12th house. So is Eris. Chiron is the wounded healer in the 12th house going, this is all your secrets that you have in denial, and you keep putting them, the skeletons in the closet, or you shove it under the rug. It's your self-deception, your hidden self, your self-undoing, your self-sacrifices. It's your karmic debts that you don't believe that you're good enough. It's the grief, sorrow, shame, and blame, the secrets that you want to hide, even away from yourself. Because if you're in denial, it's better for you. But Chiron's here going, no, the fuck it's not. And it's time for you to, bring it out into your true self-realization, because there's part of that can heal and will really, truly shift and change. But Eris is also in that 12th house. And Eris is trouble, toil, and strife, injustice. So this is why I said, this is where you're holding on to those secrets in the closet that are making you believe that you don't deserve it. Making you believe it can't change. Making you believe it has to be that way. Through that self-deception, that self-shit talk. Grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities created off of these internal lies. Are you still sinking your teeth into something that's dead? And like I call it vampire syndrome. Vampire syndrome is when you keep sinking your teeth into a human as a vampire, and you're trying to suck their blood, but they're finally dead. And if you keep doing that, you'll be sucking on dead blood. So as a vampire, you'll be dying. Are you going to keep sucking on something, sucking your teeth into things that don't serve you, that actually harm you? That's those insecurities that you've created in those internal lies. This is about healing it and finding true justice so that you can get that liberation. But that means you have to face yourself. Now, it's going into the opposite of those routines. The people, places, and things of energies of these routines. What routines are you having that you think you have to uphold, that you don't? The collective consciousness is staring you in the eye over here. You have Make, Juno, and Haumea, which is the collective consciousness, and Libra, which is all about relationships, even though this one is in the routines. It is Juno, the sacrifice and commitment. Are you going to put yourself as a commitment within these routines? Or are you doing routines everybody else wants you to do? Will you choose you? You're going to be acknowledging that all month, and they're in opposition. So people are going to try to make you do things or hold routines that aren't necessarily good for you. People, places, and things and energies that you consume. Your daily health care, your daily diet, your working environment. Does it get in the way of you being able to explore your truth and do the things that make you tick and enjoy life? Are you doing things so that somebody else has the time to enjoy their life while you're such Miss Busybody or Mr. Busybody? Because I always say that 6th house goes back to either it supports the 5th house or it doesn't. And if you don't have time, if you're a guitarist and you don't have time to play the music, then it's taking away from it. If you're a writer and you're not putting any time into writing, then it's taking away from it. Are you getting to do the hobbies, the personal interests that make you happy and make you tick? This should be part of your routines. Or are others trying to dictate what routines are right for you, which actually is none of their fucking business, and it's keeping you from getting right with you? Because like I said, there's something in that 12th house that's saying you haven't been choosing you and you've been settling. And it's time to bring that healing forward through true self-realization. Now, you don't have anything going on in the 7th and 8th house other than you have the new moon, full moon, that's going to take place in that 7th house, which is going to be speaking to you about those relationships. And it's probably going to show up in the relationships and what happened within those routines, in honesty. Now, Scorpio, full moon, over emotional, oversensitive, over Sherlock Holmes, like trying to redetective everything. Scorpio, full moon can be the most fascinating, sexual, luxurious sensual feelings if you're in a good place. And if you're not, Scorpio energy will rip the shit out of that and try to pull it apart and cipher it for even things that aren't. Like I said, are you being that Eris, that vampire symptom? Around the 7th, the full moon, pay attention to what you're sinking your teeth into. And does it help you or not? Scorpio can really go overboard in that full moon energy. And like I said, you're going to have the new moon in Gemini on the 22nd with the sun, with Mars, with Sun and Mercury there, which will be all coming back to self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, liberation. Are you shape-shifting into your securities? And I keep getting tongue-tied, which means that when you're speaking out, you're going to feel tongue-tied, like you don't know how to say what you have to say. But this is telling you, you need to stick with your personal interests and your personal truths. Because it's something that you have to learn to overcome. Because when I get tongue-tied like that, that has something to do with that communication and being able to communicate honestly with yourself so that you can learn to communicate outwardly. And it's something that you need to take action in, because they were saying that in the beginning of the reading. Now, your 9th and your 10th house is going to start colliding in the next 3 months because of these retrogrades. Your 9th house is Capricorn, which is very grounded. Don't really like change, wants things to be the old-fashioned way, but everything right now is about change. You have Jupiter, you have Pluto, which are going to be going retrograde. Pluto already is retrograde. Jupiter is going to go retrograde on the 14th in your spiritual, soulful connection. Again, asking you, are you getting truly into depth with that higher self, with that source connection, your ethics, your morals? Are you learning to step away from what you were taught and learning to believe what you know and really connect with that and to get secure and sacred within that so that you can find yourself sacred? Start giving yourself the approval of that. Tapping into your psychic energy, your visions, your inner emotional security of believing in those visions, believing in that gut feeling, that intuition. You're going to start, believing in it. This is also going to deal with the law in some areas, spiritual laws, religion, coming into, questioning as these things change. But it's also going between the 9th and the 10th house, which is going to have to do with your honor, your reputation, and the social foundations that you have. The social foundations that you have are what's making you. Look around at the people you keep. If you don't like where their life is going, then it's not where you want. I'm sorry, but if you don't like where you see their life going, that's your social foundations. We are the people we keep. People, places, and things of routines. Honor, reputation, financial success, all of that has to do with coming right back around to who you are. With your liberation, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, law of attraction. So this is asking you to claim it. You also have Saturn still in Aquarius. Up until June. It will be on the cusp up until June in Aquarius. So this is saying take a chance in new social foundations and trying new financial ideas, financial successes, financial careers. Take a chance to become a new level of authority in your life. Innovative energy that will, in the long run, help you build the structure of you and your backbone as you're changing. And Pisces energy is where Mars and Ceres are going to come together. Mars is your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team, your inner sexuality. Ceres is, have you been nurturing yourself or neglecting yourself? She's also the threefold theory and karma. And she speaks to you about your community, your friends, your memberships. Karma is coming in on top of your inner warrior. How confident are you? Again, this has to do with take a good look at the people you keep. And if you don't like the way their life are going, that's the same way your life is going. Because that's the law of attraction. True friends, true communities, true memberships, true soul tribes are going to support you coming into your true self-realization and will point to you and tell you when you need to see yourself in true light. True friends are going to help you find your goals and ambitions and your dreams and help bring them into reality. Does the people in your life do this? What is the realization of this? It's time to liberate, guys. I love you. Bye.